At the Munich Security Conference, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has delivered a powerful but controversial speech. The speech was related to creating a Western century with collaboration of European countries. So the biggest question is, what is the new Western century that US is trying to imagine under the Trump presidency, and will European countries be willing to join US in such? So let us try to understand and decode this in more detail. So first of all, to give you context of this entire issue, we know that Munich Security Conference is currently taking place in the Munich city of Germany, where leaders from all across the world are coming to deliver their speeches, the visions and goals which their country has, and how new global order is shaping. In this context, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has called for a new Western century. When I talk about new Western century, he is trying to highlight the civilizational ties that has been enjoyed by both countries along the Atlantic side. That means United States of America, Canada in North America, and European countries in the eastern part of Atlantic as such. Trump administration definitely has focused, it's especially as far as the foreign policy is concerned, a clear shift we have seen taking place as compared to his predecessors. And overall debate also has risen about the transatlantic future, because you know that several fault lines has emerged as far as the relation between US and Europe is concerned. Even US and NATO's relation was strained for certain duration of time, and most recently due to the demand of Donald Trump that Greenland should be given to the United States of America, those ties have further strained. It is in this context the concept of Western century or new Western century has been devised. Now, what is the core message of Marco Rubio? So he has emphasized that US-Europe ties is civilizational or civilization in nature, and the reason behind this is simple, because he said that both of the countries on both sides of Atlantic in the northern hemisphere are part of the same civilization that is dubbed as Western civilization. And it is because of this, he has said that the ties between both regions does not only extend up to military alliance like NATO, it also extends and cover large number of areas as well, whether it is culture, whether it is ideology, whether it is political future and all that. And the overall messaging was that US and European Union should now collaborate, come together, the interests should be converged, and they should try to restore the Western dominance as compared on over the other part of the world itself as such. And that is only possible if Europe is itself stronger as such with US led alliance. And the reason behind this is very simple, because both of these regions have a shared geopolitical destiny. At the same time, during his message, he has critiqued the liberal ideology or ideas that Europe has basically adopted after the end of World War II. Here he has claimed that Europe's belief that World War II was the end of history, and now the entire world will live like a single, we can say, people would enjoy a status of global citizens. We'll have no problem due to the illegal migration, not illegal migration, but uncontrolled migration and all that. And the entire idea of envisioning a borderless world concept is something that was not right, or that is not right. He has thus attacked on liberal democratic universalism, and he has warned against the civilizational eraser. Recently, US also has unveiled national security strategy. Here clearly they have mentioned that Europe does not mend its ways, does not change its policy, especially with reference to migration, especially with reference to its defense strategy spending, or even with climate change, then there is a risk of civilizational eraser from the entire Europe as such. He also has condemned the woke policies being followed and adopted by many of the liberal European countries as such. Now, the biggest controversy that he has made is regarding his view about migration. We know that under Trump's administration, anti-migration is something which is considered as a cornerstone of Trump's policies. We have seen a lot of attacks taking place against migrants in many cities of United States of America. That also to some extent has caused internal disturbances, the recent example being Minnesota as such. In this context, he has talked about that due to the uncontrolled migration, the social cohesion enjoyed by European countries and United States of America has come under strain. It has resulted into the discontinuity of the culture that was continued since World War II, and that is the context in which we have seen the rise of far right parties in Europe as well. And the majority of these far right parties definitely have an anti-immigration stance, anti-migration stance, something which Trump administration itself resonates with. Migration has directly been linked with the security discourse as such. Here it is being seen, or it is being presented that migration is not only economic threat, migration is not just a fringe threat, as Rubio has called, rather it is directly linked with the national security of the countries, including US and European countries as such. And that's why he has recommended, he also has enforced this policy in US also, that we should have a stricter border policies. Migration should be of controlled in nature and should be driven only by security discourse, not by the human right discourses. Also, he has used this platform to criticize climate-driven approaches. Many countries in Europe, they have taken the pledge to move away from the fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, natural gas, and are focusing upon the green energy, transition to green energy. This approach also has been criticized by Rubio, as he has stated that such policies are largely to favor the climate cult. Climate cult basically is a term that used to climate change advocates. He has, and his administration definitely has taken the policy that global warming is a hoax. Trump has said it many times. So he has stated that this has led to economic burden on citizens as we have switched away from this cheaper fuel to relatively high cost fuel as such. And thus he has talked about energy sovereignty, which should be the guiding principle of the policies adopted by countries. Fossil fuel industrial revival he has focused upon. He has stated clearly that European countries should try to bring back more and more industries, more and more jobs to Europe itself, and should be less dependent on other countries, specifically countries which have a large scale control on critical minerals, especially China and all. And that is only possible if countries focus on having a strategic autonomy in the energy sector. He also has demanded higher NATO spending. This we know that it has been since the first time of first presidency of Trump itself. We have seen he has been demanding that Western countries, basically European countries, to try to up their this contribution as far as the NATO or defense budget is concerned. And the reason behind this is that because they have clearly taken this stance that US is not going to share the defense burden of other countries. Every country should contribute equally or based on their own capacity, and that is the burden sharing emphasis. Redirect defense budgets to US hardware, strengthening of military industrial base, and at the same time security as civilizational defense has been the cornerstone of his particular speech also. It is because of this we have seen many countries in Europe such as France, Germany, United Kingdom, they have increased their overall spending, GDP spending on the defense. Then other point here to discuss was to reduce dependency on China. We know that today United States consider two of its countries in the world as its major rival. One is Russia and other is China. China has emerged as the economic powerhouse of the world, and that's why the threat to US is much more bigger in this context. It is due to this US has been leading an alliance of several countries under critical mineral security. Recently, we have seen Trump has hosted many of the leaders of the world for this particular meeting itself. And the reason behind this is very simple. United States today want to have a complete dominance and control of West or Western countries over the supply chain of critical minerals. And this is why, because we know that today critical minerals play a very important role. These are going to play a very, very important role in the future also for the next generation technology, whether it is artificial intelligence, space, or even high-tech sector as such. And thus, he has emphasized that if we really want to compete in the global South market, which he said that we are losing share to other countries as such, we have to have this approach of reducing dependency on China. We have to build our own alliance, we have to build our own strategic partnership, we have to create our own supply chain as such. And that's why this initiative was also taken by US in this regard. Now, when we talk about new Western century, the vision that he has given, he has talked about the civilizational bloc politics. That means this is not talking about politics that should be only carried forward by the United States of America or the neighboring countries. But if you look at this map here, he's talking about entire Western alliance, countries of Europe, North America, and obviously Australia and even Japan as such. He has talked about a strategic economic nationalism as a guiding factor that should drive the national decision making. What it simply means, it means that nothing but same what Trump has been saying, make America great again, a policy that resonates with protectionism, a policy that claims to protect jobs at home and bring more and more manufacturing inside the territorial control of US and in this regard European Union as well. Industrial reshoring, expansion into artificial intelligence and space frontier, and multipolar world is being seen as a civilizational rivalry as far as the current US approach is concerned here. Now, the question is that when he ended the meeting, how did European leaders react? So, we have seen a standing ovation being given to him in the Munich Security Conference. And later on, when leaders were asked about their view, Ursula von der Leyen, who is European Union President, she has stated that definitely Marco Rubio's statement is welcoming in nature because he has emphasized on a strong Europe, and Europe itself want to have a strong ties with United States of America, whether it is in the sector of defense, economy, energy, and all that. So obviously he has welcomed it. We talk about France. France also stated that the approach of US, where he have emphasized upon independent Europe, is something that is welcoming. Germany has said that such speech are indication of that what we are trying to protect. We are trying to protect today rule-based order, and the American speech is clearly an indication of it. Finland also has stated that positive tone is how Marco Rubio's statement has been received as. And also we have to understand that many of the countries here are agreeing with the migration stance or anti-migration stance, we can say, reflected by Donald Trump's policy. We have seen the rise of far-right parties in many countries of Europe also. For example, in Netherlands, we have seen victory by PVV parties. France National Rally has surged. UK, you have Reform UK rise. Austria and Germany, you have AFD and FPO influence. So all of these rise that we are seeing here of the right-wing parties, they definitely have anti-migration stance. And many times there was a controversy also, because you would have seen that United States is directly trying to help and support these right-wing parties, and to some extent they are intervening in the domestic politics of European countries as well. But again, as far as the debate about migration is concerned, it is controversial debate. There is no clear-cut view on it. But one thing on which again new debate seems to be emerging is remigration. Remigration I refer to sending back all the migrants, non-white migrants, back to their country from Europe or America as such. And their experts suggest that lies the strategic dilemma of Europe. Because if European Union itself tries to go ahead and work with United States of America, start to follow the lead of United States of America, then they would lose their strategic autonomy, and at the same time they will seem to be subordinate to the United States of America as such. So to some extent that is we can say unavoidable. The reason is because US security umbrella is basically under which all the European countries lie. So there is a strong dependence here. Now gradually we have seen many European countries have begun to spend more amount of money on defense, but you go back 10 years ago, entire country, European countries were to a large extent dependent upon American security umbrella. They had this firm belief that no matter whatever happen in the future, if they face any threat of confrontation or war, US would come to their help as such. That completely went to toss when Trump took charge of United States as a president. Trade tensions, tariff obviously we have seen rising. Many European countries where which Trump has been targeted by, Trump basically has targeted and has applied tariff on them. In example being Switzerland, France, and all during the Greenland dispute. Defense spending increase is something that he has demanded, and European countries have buzzed in the favor. Migration policy is tightening in many of the European countries. For example, countries such as Denmark, Netherlands, United Kingdom, they have taken an anti-migration stance, and they are trying to strictly control the flow across the border as such. And as far as the Rubio's statement on sovereignty in tech and energy supply chain is concerned, many countries do agree to it, that we should have self-dependency in this sector. Dependency on China is extreme in this case. That should be reduced, and that is the reason why critical minerals supply kind of initiative has been accepted as a doctrine, accepted as a suitable strategy by European countries as well. But again, how far the relation between the US and European Union would go strong, and whether we will see such a new kind of fracture taking place, new kind of fault line emerging in the future based on Trump's policy, we have to wait, watch, and see. That's all about this particular video. If you like the video, please like button, share with your aspirants, as a subscribe channel for more content. Thank you very much.